Hello friends, the National Library of Ayurveda Medicine is pleased to present a new episode on Ayurveda. The present release is part of a video lecture series prepared for the education of Ayurveda literature in accordance with the academic curriculum of Ayurveda studies in India. My name is Dr. Sumit Kesarkar and I will be your host throughout this video on the concept of Strotas in Ayurveda, which correlates to various production and distribution units of metabolism in human body. The word Strotas is derived from the root Sru, which identifies as Susravani, which means to flow or exudate or permeate. The etymology of Strotas is mentioned as Shravanata Strotamsi, which implies as the one which secretes. Maharishi Charak states that the functionality of life, both gross and subtle, is enumerated through Strotas. From descriptions in Ayurveda texts, we can strongly deduce that as opposed to general belief of correlating Strotas merely as channels of distribution, we must accept Strotas as being units of production and distribution. This is apparently made clear by Maharishi Sushruta, who mentions Strotas as being exclusive from distribution channels such as Sira and Dhamni, which can be arguably correlated to veins and arteries in the human body. It must be understood that the main function of any Strotas is to form a substance and additionally to carry or channelize it through the body. Production and distribution of all entities in the body is dependent on the normal function of the Strotas. Strotas on functional grounds can be termed as the passages for the flow of dhatus, which are loosely correlated to tissues, and malas, which in broader sense are waste formed and micro and macro levels of metabolism. Charak hence put forth that for multitude of new substances formed, there are multitude of Strotas. Strotas exist on functional planes for the effective movement and channeling of the three doshas of Vata, Pitta and Kapha. To understand how Strotas are formed, it would be first helpful to know what Strotas comprise of. The most accurate knowledge about the structure of Strotas can be understood by the term Kha Vaigunya, which is used to describe the state of Strotas when it dysfunctions. Here the term Kha is synonymous with the Pancha Mahabhotik element Akash, which can be correlated to void or emptiness or for ease of understanding to space. The term Vaigunya means dysfunction. We can hence deduce that Strotas is nothing but encapsulated Akasha or encapsulated void or space. Akash Mahabhut lies at the base or first position in the hierarchy of all the five Mahabhut creation. In simple words, each Mahabhut is created from its previous Mahabhuts. So Vayu is derived from Akash, Agni is derived from Akash and Vayu, Apaha is derived from Akash, Vayu and Agni, and finally Prithvi is derived from Akash, Vayu, Agni and Apaha. We can hence state that Akash is omnipresent and exists at the base of creation of universe. There is no manifestation which can be perceived without Akash as being its integral part. To simplify this concept further, it can be put forth that any manifestation during its structural formation captures Akash or space to have its individuality. For example, let us take three empty pots, pot A, pot B and pot C, which logically due to its emptiness or void contain space A, space B and space C. We can distinguish between each pot as per its attributes of shape, color or size. Now consider these three pots breaking at the same time, releasing the space they held within. Now can we distinguish the spaces with each pot held as different? No, because unlike the pots which had attributes of shape or size to distinguish between them, The space within each pot was one and indivisible without attributes. So there were no different types of space in different pots, but the three different pots encapsulated the same omnipresent space, but got their individual existence due to their own separate attributes of shape, size, or color. Applying this concept to humans as each functional unit from an individual cell to a large organ like liver gets formed, it entraps Akash, giving rise to individual Strotas, which are connected to each other as one functional unit for proper flow of prana or vital breath through various metabolic activities which occur and constitute the functional human body. Hence, we can say that the very first cell formed in an organism can be termed as Strotas. So, though each Strotas encapsulates the same space without attributes, each one is unique regarding its structural and functional attributes. We can hence deduce that the origin of Strotas lies in Akash. However, this is just half the etymology and sheds light on the structure of Strotas. For an entity to be considered as Strotas in human body, the entrapped space must be a seat of production and distribution. Let us take an example of urinary system comprising of kidney, ureter, and urinary bladder. The kidney produces and distributes urine, while the ureter and the bladder merely transport and collect urine or carry out distribution. Hence, even though each of them enclose Akash and fulfill the structural requirement of Strotas, only kidney can be considered as a Strotas as it fulfills both requirements of production and distribution, while the ureter, which merely transfers urine to bladder, and the bladder which stores it are not considered as Strotas. Hence, carrying channels like Sira and Dhamni, which can be arguably correlated to veins and arteries, are not considered as Strotas, as put forth by Maharishi Sushruta. In words of Charak, a passage where the entity passes without any apparent change in its constitution is not considered as Strotas. At each level of manifestation, Strotas traps space and keeps growing as per its general nature and attribute. In that trapped space, it facilitates production of its entity and ensures its distribution, which are expressed through production and distribution of dhatus, upadhatus, and malas, and hence Strotas structurally and functionally are understood as the seat of production and distribution of these entities. Maharishi Charak puts forth that since there are innumerable manifestations in the human body, there are innumerable Strotas. A scan of Ayurvedic text, we come to know that an attempt is made by Charak and Sushrut to categorize these multitude Strotas in finite numbers based on their location and their function correlating to their produce and secretion. Based on location, Strotas can be classified into two categories. Bahirmukh Strotas, which in brief corresponds to external orifices found in human body. These are Shravan or ears, Nayan or eyes, Vadan or mouth, Gran or nose, Good or anus, and Medra or penis in males, with additional three, Stanyavaha or screw breast for secretion of breast milk, and Adoraktavaha, which can be accepted as vagina for flow of menstrual blood in women, making total a tally of 9 as described by Maharishi Sushruta. Antarmukh Strotas, which can be correlated to internal structures which carry out metabolic functions. These are described by Maharishi Charak. Pranavaha, which can be correlated to the respiratory system, Annavaha, which can be correlated to the nutritional system, Udakvaha, which can be correlated to the circulatory system. The next 7 Strotas carry out metabolic activity of the 7 dhatus mentioned in Ayurveda. Dhatus can be loosely and arguably correlated to tissues of modern medicine for the sake of understanding. Rasavaha, which can be correlated to the lymphatic system, Raktavaha, which can be correlated to the blood system, Masavaha, which can be correlated to the muscle system, Medovaha, which can be correlated to the lipid system, Astivaha, which can be correlated to the bone system, Majjavaha, which can be correlated to the nervous system inclusive of brain and spinal cord and the bone marrow, and Shukravaha, which can be correlated to the reproductive system. Dhatus are described in detail in two separate videos which can be viewed on the NLAM YouTube channel. The next three Strotas are associated with malas or metabolic waste mentioned in Ayurveda. Purishvaha, which is associated with the formation and excretion of stools, Mutravaha, which is associated with the formation and excretion of urine, and Svedavaha, which is associated with the formation and excretion of sweat. The concept of mal is described in separate video which can be viewed on the NLAM YouTube channel. And finally, Manovaha Strotas, which carries out the functions of mana, which can be arguably correlated to the mind. The mana is considered as Strotas since it moves between sense organs to produce sensory impressions and distributes their flow in form of emotion and thoughts, which fulfills the criterion of physical Strotas as described by Charak. The Antarmukh Strotas can be further categorized based on their common functions for simplicity of understanding. The Annavaha, Pranavaha, and Udakvaha Strotas can be combined on common functions of ingestion or assimilation of resources for further produce and distribution. The Rasa, Rakta, Mausa, Meda, Asti, Majja, and Shukra are basically the Strotas of seven Dhatus which can be associated with production and distribution of tissues. The Purish, Mutra, and Swed are Strotas of three mals or wastes which can be grouped together on the common function of excretion of wastes. And finally, the Manovaha is the sole communicator between all the Strotas for effective functioning of the human body. We come across various descriptions of Strotas through Ayurveda books. For ease of study, we can divide them on structural and functional properties. Let us have a brief look at each. Strotas are described to be of varied shapes as per their functionality. We can narrow them as follows as per descriptions found in Ayurveda texts: circular, large, small, branching. Maharishi Charak informs that structurally the Strotas correlating to Dhatus have the same color as that of the Dhatu. From descriptions of Dhatu through text, we can arguably say that Rasa is white, Rakta is red, Mausa is red and white, Med is yellow, Asti is white, Majja is yellowish or reddish, and Shukra is white. Ayurveda texts have vivid descriptions about the functions of Strotas. For ease of understanding, we describe 8 distinct qualities or guna of Strotas which can be reflected in various combinations in different Strotas as per its mode of action. Paradarshak, which means they are transparent, Tanu, which means they are thin, Mrudu, which means they are soft, Slakshan, which means they are smooth, Ishat Stigda, which means they are slightly unctuous, Vishat, which means they are clean or clear, Sukshma, which means they are minute, and Vivakta, which means they are patent. Any anomaly in the functional properties of Strotas leads to state of disease. This state is termed as Strotovaigunya or Khavaigunya. The anomalies of Strotas arise when its functions of production and distribution are disrupted. The complete metabolism of human body comprising of anabolic process where new things are being produced and catabolic process which deals with the utilization and diminution of resources are reflected in the functioning of the Strotas. Maharishi Charak has given specific guidelines to understand the state of dysfunction of Strotas, which can be enumerated as follows. Ati pravritti, which can be loosely translated as state of hyperfunctioning. In this state, the Strotas increases its secretions beyond its normal capacity. Examples are diarrhea or excess secretion of hormones or enzymes. Sanga, which can be loosely translated as state of hypofunctioning. In this state, the Strotas decreases its secretions or is in a state of complete obstruction. Examples are decrease in secretions of hormones or enzymes. Sira Granthi, state which for the ease of understanding can be correlated to the process of inflammation occurring within the struthus leading to its structural damage. Examples can be as common as swelling to advanced etiologies such as cysts, tumors, or nodules. Vimargagaman, the state where the pathology of dysfunctional struthus moves or spreads to directions it is not supposed to go. This state usually follows stage 3 as a result of structural damage to the struthus. Example could be ascertained from disorders like fistula in ano, where the local pus and infection starts creating its own track and spreads to surrounding normal tissue. Similarly, the stage of metastasis in cancers can be understood through this stage. The innate importance of struthus can be understood by the following statement of Maharishi Charak. As long as the struthus are normal, the body is not afflicted with disease. Maharishi Charak has described in detail the specific cause of disruption of each struthus, the symptoms they exhibit in a disease state, and the probable modes of treatment. We will study this entire subject of Strotodushti in detail in another video. I hope this video was informative and made the subject clear. Comments and feedback are highly appreciated, and you can leave them by visiting the National Library's website at www.nlan.in or likewise by writing to me
at vdsumit@gmail.com.
Thank you for watching.